Live. What's up, guys? Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. T, are we good? All right.
Yes.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome. I'm just going to make sure we got this music turned off and all that stuff. If you can hear us, just throw a quick yes in the chat. Should be able to hear us and
There
see
we
us.
All right.
Sweet. What's up, guys? How you doing?
Good. Not too bad.
Good. Yeah.
Ready for this damn year to be over?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it kind of feels like it's still going to lag into, like, all the same crap is still going to be happening in 2021.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's better.
There's also 2 more weeks. And
Anything can happen.
Yeah.
Nothing would surprise me at this point.
Yeah. I saw today there was a small earthquake in California.
No.
And there were some people on Twitter saying, you know, what if this is like, you know, the like, what do they call that when it's like it's essentially like a tremor or whatever that occurs before
building
the big
up
one.
before the big one. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, how 2020 would that be if, you know, there was like a 9 magnitude earthquake in California?
It's like the grand
It'd be
finale.
like, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately for them too, it's just like the hits keep on coming for California this year.
Yep. Tim Draper finally tweeted, you know, he's always been kind of like critical of California and all the shit that's going on over there. He's like, everybody's leaving. Everybody's coming to Austin.
It
You know?
is good to see the feedback mechanism working, or it's not working, but hopefully the feedback mechanism will kick in to where like people are actually starting to say, screw this.
Yeah.
And then maybe the government will actually get their act together. It will probably be a long while before that happens, but they've got to get their house in order in a lot of ways there.
My guess is it's too late. I mean, I went through the list of people that I know in SF or LA, which isn't a huge list, but most people I know have already moved here or are on their way.
Yeah.
What about you? Because I know you spent time in the Bay.
Yeah, well, I think it's also very different. I think the Bay versus some of the other places in California, excuse me, like San Diego will be very different than San Francisco. They share some of the same governance problems, but I do think the situation is a lot worse in San Francisco than in some other areas, just for a couple of reasons. One, like the wealth concentration there got so ridiculous. And
Yeah.
so the housing prices got so ridiculous. The homeless problem is actually a California problem, a California city's problem, but I think it is actually the worst in San Francisco in certain areas. And then the governance there too, like some of the local governance is as bad as it gets basically in SF. So,
And I'm just hoping a lot of that doesn't bleed into Austin, which we've already had our issues, but
yeah.
hang on for dear life.
Well, one thing that's probably going to happen is our housing here is going to be ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
it's going to go up probably significantly, even more than it already has.
Yeah.
So great for homeowners that are here, but bad for buyers.
Yeah, it was like Oracle announced, I think 100,000. Well, Oracle has I think 100,000 plus employees, and they announced they're officially moving their headquarters here to Austin.
Any idea on how many of those people will actually come here?
That's a great question. Because now a lot of people can work remotely, so I don't know how much are actually going to end up here. But if it's 20,000, I mean that's still a big number.
Yeah.
For a town that's still around 1 million people.
Yeah. I think we're getting audio feedback through your
I was
laptop.
like, what?
Sorry
I was
about
like,
that.
where
No, no
is
worries.
that coming from?
Cool. Well, hey guys, how's everybody doing? Welcome, welcome. This is the last show of 2020. We're going to get rolling on some charts, some news. We got a bunch of questions from you guys. We'll go into the live chat here in a minute.
Is Bitcoin going to moon?
What do you mean? Is it going to? It's on its way.
Are you going to get a tattoo today of Bitcoin?
Man, I got saved twice
So-
by the skin of my teeth.
We're at 19.4 right now. If by the end of this,
If by the end of this show we're at 20,000.
Oh yeah, I'll get a face tattoo if that happens.
oh, you
No,
heard
you
it,
won't.
heard
No,
it.
you will not. Not under my watch.
No, I mean, look, if that happened in the next hour or two, yeah, I'd have to do something crazy.
I don't know if you've got your probabilities right on that. You know, we've seen the Bitcoin make that kind of a move.
That's true. That's true. I don't know if you guys want to start driving it higher while we're sitting here. Feel free. Anyway, let's just jump into it, man. What should we start with? Charts, questions,
I know you
news?
had some survey stuff too.
Yeah, you know, I've been on this survey kick, just trying to figure out what everybody on Twitter's thinking. I had a few things that I I was asking over the past week or two. The first one was, what was your best purchase this year, excluding investments, right? Because that's all we talk about is investments and building wealth. I'm like, well, what's like a consumer purchase or like something fun or just something outside of investing that people were buying? I got a ton of really good answers.
That's a great question to ask. What a
yeah.
great conversation starter.
Yeah. What's yours, Nick?
Well, I have two.
Okay.
One, my Peloton.
Hey, that's a good
The
one.
stock or the bite?
No, I don't want to talk about the stock. I sold the stock before the pandemic.
That's right. You could have paid for 20 Pelotons.
Anywho, my Peloton has saved my butt because I'm a big gym rat and I'm dying not being able to go to the gym. It sucks. The second thing are my earbuds, my Apple EarPods. Or
Yeah.
what do you call? Are they
AirPods.
earbuds? I should know this. I'm an investor. AirPods.
Yeah. No, it makes sense that it would be earpods. Though.
Earbuds,
Like I
AirPod,
think I've made that
AirPod.
mistake a bunch too.
I don't know. Whatever. But the newer ones not the original, not the OG AirPods, but the new
The
ones
Pros?
that have the noise canceling and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Oh my God, I can't live without them. They're like the best product ever.
I mean, they've sold how many billions of dollars worth of those?
Many billions.
Yeah, like it's
Yeah.
a massive part of their business. It's like anytime somebody says like Apple stops innovating, they come out with a product that just sells a massive amount.
I mean, AirPods Pro does more profit than most of the tech companies that have been high flyers this year.
It's crazy.
That's wild.
Tesla, Airbnb,
Yeah.
you name it. AirPods Pro is a better profitable business.
Shit, break it off,
And-
split them up.
Yeah, and we're talking about having to take more shares of a company like Apple out of the S&P 500 to make room for Tesla. We'll talk about that. But yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
What about you?
Oh, so this is a good question. I was struggling for the answer, but I think it might be. So I just put together my home studio, as you know, to do more YouTube filming stuff. And the Nano Leafs were a really cool product that I didn't know a lot about until I got them. And
Is that the lights that you have on the wall?
yeah, those are the lights that you can kind of configure into different shapes and then control with your phone and make different colors. I don't know. That was just one cool product I thought of. I also built a new PC this year. That's been pretty rad. So probably something around like the whole like home office, home gaming setup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
Man,
Yeah.
you know, I asked the question because it's so hard for me to think of something because I haven't really bought a whole lot this year. Like, it's been a really kind of boring year for me. Like, we usually travel a bunch and, like, I don't know, no new boat, no new, I guess computer stuff is kind of geeky. I bought Cyberpunk 2077, so that was pretty cool. I know a lot, like, I'm not like a real gamer, like, I suck at gaming. And I know a lot of people complain about the game, but I really liked it.
Yeah.
And it runs great on my 1080 Ti. So.
Yeah, you're not playing it on an old gen Xbox. So
Yeah.
that probably helps.
Yeah.
I hope they get the bugs worked out on that game because it
They
has
will.
the potential to be pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. I don't know. I just like to stay engaged with games, even though I suck at them, just to see what the next gen of stuff is.
Oh, yeah. Plus, they just, if you kind of stick with it for like a couple of months, you'll get good enough where it really starts to get fun. Like I've had this like off and on relationship with gaming over the past like 20 years. Like I was massively into games as a kid, kind of put those aside to like focus on career stuff for a while, kind of started to get back into it here and there a couple of times and like would get locked into a game and just like go deep and get really good at it. But yeah, so like I picked up Apex Legends again. That was like my game that I got into this year.
Are you any
And-
good at it now?
Oh, I was awful at it.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get like okay at it now.
Okay.
Like I'm okay. Like I
Yeah.
can get a couple of kills a game now, whereas before I would just like half the games I wouldn't even get a kill. You know?
Yeah, well, see, I started playing it and I played it for like a day or two and I got exactly 0 kills and I'm like, these 11-year-olds are just crushing me. I'm out of here, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I gotta play like an easy just solo game.
Is Cyberpunk something that like women play? Like,
don't know.
I wonder if that's like.
You would be surprised at how many female gamers there are now.
Yeah,
I know it's growing.
I
like,
noticed on
females-
Twitch there were like, if you
Yes.
look at some of the most popular streams, you get a lot of girls in there, and I watch them play. I'm like, damn, they're actually like crushing the game.
There are pro female gamers now that are like as good as any of the top males in the world
Okay, dumb question.
in some games.
And this is gonna be a dumb question. In Cyberpunk, can you be a girl?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, by the way, that's like one of the funniest parts of the game. Is you can like fully customize your body, including genitals. Like it is hilarious.
There are probably more guys pretending to be girls in the game, though, than girls actually playing girls.
Yeah. Oh, man. Okay, cool. So moving on. Let's see. This was actually a really interesting response. I asked everybody on Twitter, said, if you had $1 billion windfall, so I just came up with $1 billion, but say you got a windfall, it was either a lottery or an exit or Bitcoin went to $1 million, you know, something crazy. If that happened, would you work hard to solve the world's biggest problems? So would you take like a Bill Gates approach, or would you be like, nope, I'm out, I'm going to chill on a beach, I'm just going to hang out and like chill and enjoy life? It was almost 50-50. Like 48 or 49% said work to solve problems, and 51 said chill and enjoy life. What would you guys do?
I would, so this is a cheat answer, but I would do a little of both.
Yeah.
I kind of like envision myself like a Mark Cuban style kind of guy, where like I would be involved in some like really important stuff still, you know, maybe I'd own like part of a sports team and help manage it, or maybe I would be, you know, involved. I would almost certainly be involved in things like angel investing, and maybe running like kind of my own little investment fund where I can do like deals that I think are interesting and potentially impactful for the world. So that's kind of like a mix of like work, but also stuff that I would enjoy and have fun with.
Yeah.
I definitely wouldn't just go like sit on a beach. I think that I would just get so bored and fat and
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
depressed.
Yeah. I mean, we've taken like sabbaticals, and like after a couple of weeks of doing nothing, like I'm like, oh, give me something to do. Like let's create something. Let's build something. Let's invest in something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think about like billionaires today that are still out doing things. It's almost like earning money and investing becomes an addiction, so to speak. Like, why is Mark Cuban still out there investing and doing this?
Yeah.
Like,
Why is Warren Buffett doing
Why
it
is
still?
Warren Buffett
If
still
you
doing
don't
it? Why?
enjoy it, you're not going to do it. And
yeah.
that's probably why they got successful in the first place, right? It's like you don't get to that level by working just for the money. Like
Yeah.
you have to love the game. You have to love the pursuit of that.
Exactly. And I think I agree with Travis, like a mix of both. Like I would literally be able to do both. I'd want to have a foundation, probably something related to financial literacy,
Yeah.
you know, and teaching people how to achieve their definition of financial
So
freedom.
basically what we're doing now.
well,
Except-
yeah, but like you can do so much more with $1 billion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, it's just more, I guess, resources to be able to accelerate
Yeah.
things like what
Yeah.
might take us a few years to do. You could throw money at a problem and solve it very quickly.
Yeah. I think that I would get super, super bored and feel like, okay, gluttonous in a way. Like, okay, I have $1 billion and I'm, you know, I feel like I would need to do something to
Yeah.
feel.
I would like to think our days wouldn't change that much, other than having more access and being able to like throw money at problems. Like I'm like, would my day actually look that different? Probably not. Like, what am I going to do differently? Like,
But I will say, there's nothing wrong with wanting to take your $1 billion and going and chilling on a beach and enjoying life. Like,
Yeah.
if that's your journey.
look at Tony over
that's
there. He's like, hell yeah, that's what I would do.
Totally fine. Everybody has different journeys.
I also
Yeah.
think, yeah, like it's interesting too, because chill and enjoy life could also mean like doing some fun passion projects, like maybe like we've talked about, you know, like as a second or third career, like doing something cool from scratch, like learning to produce music, or you know, maybe it's like becoming like seeing if you're good enough to become a pro gamer with enough like, you know, one-on-one tutoring for a year or something
Yeah.
from some pro
Yeah.
gamers or something. That'd be cool.
Do like the Tim Ferriss experiment where you just like geek out on different things and see if you can hack the system.
Yes.
Yeah. Sweet. All right. Final one. This is a little more serious of a question because my mind was just blown after last week's show. I was like, I wonder how many of my followers think that it's responsible for publicly traded companies to issue debt so they can buy Bitcoin. Surprisingly, 45% of people actually said no way. I thought everybody was going to be like, hell yeah, man, pump it, you know, leverage up and buy it. But I think a lot of people do understand the risks that come with that. So that was kind of interesting.
That means people are maybe listening to us and learning.
Maybe, yeah. All right, cool. So why don't we move on to some questions? And by the way, guys, you guys that are watching live, if you have questions, feel free to throw them in and we'll get to those too. But the first question is from Phil, I guess this is right. Phil. Okay. If you trade, should you also have someone else manage your pension to reduce risk? Miss Certified Financial Planner, I'm going to pass that to you.
Yeah, so pension can mean a few things. Like they may mean retirement account in general, or they mean self-employed, defined benefit pension plan that they actually have through their business.
Yeah.
So this can mean a few things, but in general, I think the question is, if you trade, should you have somebody managing some of your assets, or a financial advisor or a financial planner? And it really depends on your skill set, right? Like, if you feel like you have the skill set to be able to manage your own money and you have the willingness to learn how to do it, it's very possible for people to do this.
Yeah.
But if you want to reduce some risk and just kind of get a second opinion on part of your capital, I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. Not only that, you can learn from your financial advisor. If you are an active trader and investor, it makes it so much better to work with someone because you understand the game. You're not just, you can actually talk to the advisor and be like, hey, I noticed you're invested this way. Why is that? You can learn from them and just kind of get another point of view.
Yeah.
So it's a way to just mitigate some risk. They're probably going to invest it more conservatively via passive investing with funds, most likely. But yeah, I think that there's nothing wrong with doing that with part of your capital.
Yeah. I think it's actually kind of a good idea to have multiple advisors, like people that maybe specialize in stuff. I don't know. I think you've invested through different funds with different managers, right, Trev?
Yeah, I have. So I have a couple of funds I've invested in, but that's I guess a little bit different too than say like a financial advisor or something like that. Like I have a pretty good control on what things need to be done and what allocations I make and my buckets and all of that.
Yeah.
This is more of like I allocated small parts of my capital to some specific fund managers that I think are really smart and can compound capital. And it's kind of a way of diversifying the portfolio a little bit because even though I'm pretty confident in my ability over a long enough time frame to compound capital, I also think they're really smart and their strategies are slightly different. And so I like having that exposure.
Yeah.
And like you said, perspective. Like I get to interface with those fund managers, read their research, collaborate actually with them on certain research pieces together when we have positions that overlap. And it's a really cool thing. And this is pretty common, actually. Even billionaire hedge fund managers, they will often seed their former analysts and they'll often make small investments in other people's funds that they know that they believe are smart. And again, I think it's just kind of a way to diversify yourself a little bit.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, great perspective there. Why don't we jump into the IPO insanity that's happened over the past week?
The two hot ones are DoorDash and Airbnb, really.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we can't forget, by the way, Bitcoin's at all-time highs or testing all-time highs. We'll come back to this chart, but
20K. 20K.
Oh my God, what shitcoin is this?
Oh no. Airbnb.
Who could have saw this coming?
Wow.
Really? I mean,
we've been trying to tell people.
By the way, congrats to our friends that made a lot of money through the IPO.
Yes.
Early investors and employees. But for people that are buying this on the market on IPO day, this is what can happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is why it's so important to pay attention to valuation.
Nikki, you got this question. Yeah.
Well, I've been on my Instagram, because I've been getting these questions left and right about DoorDash and Airbnb because they're two very well-known, hot companies. And, I've been trying to tell people, like, I'm not jumping into Airbnb depending on the valuation, and I'm going to be paying close attention to it. So I've been trying to just say that. And unfortunately, I got a message today that a lady actually ended up buying it on the IPO day, I think, when it was at its highest price.
So it says, I invested in Airbnb while it was at its highest.
Yeah.
I'm new to investing and was interested based off discussions that my brother and partner were having. I realize I don't know enough about it to be really messing around, but I'm struggling to pull, do I sell it at a loss or do I hold it? That's the predicament that people get in, right?
Yeah, and now a lot of people are in that exact predicament. They bought on IPO day, they bought the high, and they don't know what to do. And, my answer to that is, and Travis, I'd be curious for you to kind of collab with me on this, but I think that there could potentially, we don't want you selling the bottoms either, right? Like, that's part of the problem is people sell the panic and they end up kind of stuck. Airbnb could very well recover from here and go back to $100 billion valuation. in the next few months. Like nobody knows. That's
Yeah.
the market environment we're in today is so crazy, and we're seeing valuations go to levels that we think are crazy, but it's happening. So could Airbnb do that? Absolutely. And so it's kind of hard to tell people what to do. And obviously none of this is personalized financial advice. You know, for me, I would say look at the capital that you can take from it now. Are you willing to hold it to see what it's going to do? Are you willing to take the risk?
Yeah.
What valuation do you think is acceptable for Airbnb? And okay, how far are you off from that? And then think about, okay, am I willing to hold this to see if it's going to recover, or is this capital that I can pull from it better served somewhere else at this point? Because I don't want to take on the risk of it falling more. So it's just a matter of like looking at both sides and deciding what is best for your situation.
It's a great point. And I mean, I think this just points to the danger of not having a plan. If you just buy something based off of hype, or, you know, you think something's hot and you don't pay attention to the technicals or the fundamentals or even market sentiment, and just having a clear picture of what's happening, you're going to end up on the wrong side of the market.
100%. You know, that's why we teach fundamentals. That's why I created the stock boot camp and, you know, spent over a year developing the course, is because most people have no context for what they're doing when they're buying a stock in the stock market.
Yeah.
And I want to change that. Like, people don't understand that the post IPO price on Airbnb was implying $100 billion valuation. Do I think Airbnb is a company that is doing wonderful things that I admire, that I think is going to grow for the next 10 years? Absolutely. But I'm not buying it at a $100 billion valuation because of how absurd that is today. Can it grow to be a $100 billion company over time? Sure. But to understand what that means is really, really important. And it's one of the reasons why one of the first YouTube videos I ever made was about like share price versus market cap, and like market cap being one of the most fundamental things you should understand as an investor first before you ever buy a stock, because a great company does not mean great stock to buy. There's always a price at which you shouldn't buy. Like, what if Airbnb was being priced at $10 trillion? What if it was being priced at, you know, a larger value than all of the value of the rest of the companies in the world combined, right? Would you buy it then? So like, you have to have some context and an understanding of where are you buying it? What percentage of the company are you getting when you buy one share? What is the company being priced at? $100 billion valuation for Airbnb just does not make sense today. Based on their margin profile, how much cash flow the business actually does not generate yet. The size relative to, say, Booking. Booking is an $80 billion market cap, but a company that is much larger and much more profitable today than Airbnb.
I think that this is such a good point, because so many people get caught up in the hype, and they just want to invest in what they think is hot, right? Yeah. But that's not where you make money. Where you make money is where things are underappreciated or ignored by Wall Street, right?
Yeah.
That's where I've seen you guys be like snipers and ninjas, just coming in, scooping up stuff really cheap when nobody's paying attention, and then bam, you get like a hard reversal. Like, what was the one that's up massive today? The China, was it Baidu?
Yeah, Baidu.
So you were buying this, I think, was it last year?
I mean, yeah, I've been buying it for the better part of 2 years, and the stock went nowhere. I think I even mentioned it last week as one of the stocks that I've bought that has gone nowhere. Until recently, it's finally like started to take off. But very underappreciated company. A lot of people just kind of looked at it like, like, you know, it hasn't done anything in the past 6 or 12 months, so it's dead money.
Yeah.
Whereas I was looking at it and analyzing it from a different angle, saying there's actually some really interesting assets within this company, and this company is extremely undervalued even on today's profits it's generating, and you have all this potential upside from these like catalysts that could happen in the future. So, But I mean, at the end of the day, price matters. You know, it has felt like at times in this market, in this frothy market that we're in, that price doesn't matter, because some stocks like Tesla, price has not mattered. The valuation, the market cap has not mattered. The damn thing just keeps going up. Honey Badger stock, right?
Yeah.
It's because you can't bet against Elon.
Oh God, here we go.
I'm gonna say all the fanboy shit.
Yeah, but eventually it will matter. I mean, again, is there a price at which people would stop buying Tesla? There's a lot of investors out there that will buy Tesla at any price. If I told you right now that you're buying Tesla, like let's say Tesla doubles again and it's at a $1.5 trillion market cap.
Yeah.
Do people care? Will they continue to keep buying the stock because they think Tesla's cool and they're doing cool things? Okay, great. What if it goes to 50 trillion? Are you going to buy it then? Like, yes, the company can grow over the next decade or two, but there's context. What price are you buying it at? It matters. It will matter in the long run.
Get them.
And this is the thing with Airbnb, people that are kind of stuck in this trade, so to speak, is that, like Travis said, sure, over time, I don't know how many years, Airbnb could be $100 billion company and it could grow back into that valuation over time. But that might take time, a lot of time. And are you willing to sit through it and be patient for that day to come is the question. People that are kind of like with DoorDash and Airbnb. DoorDash, I think you're better off with Airbnb than DoorDash. But yeah, that's kind of what you have to ask yourself.
And also, like, the bull case for this is a busted IPO play, right? Like, we saw, like, even on Facebook, you know, going back to Facebook's IPO, for anybody that wasn't paying attention to the IPO at that time, like, the market sentiment down here was really nasty.
Yeah.
Like, think about, like, when the chart looked like this, where it fell from, like, $45 down to, like, 17. Market sentiment was like, oh, Facebook's a shit company, blah, blah, blah. It's a, you know, it looks a lot like Airbnb off of the IPO.
It does.
Sold off for like 6 months or whatever. Based out, put a shift in momentum. And then if we zoom out even further, I mean, everybody knows what happened to Facebook stock. But, you know, so I guess there is a bull case for Airbnb. Trav or Nikki, I guess, have you guys done any work on the fundamentals to know what valuation you're interested in? Or is it just kind of a waiting game to see how they perform?
On Airbnb specifically?
Yeah.
Yeah. I did some a little bit of research over the last 2 weeks and kind of figured that I was willing to buy it around a 30 billion or lower market cap.
So a lot further down from here.
Yes.
Yeah, I think about half the price, the stock price.
And this thing was supposed to price at around a 30
$68.
Yeah, it was supposed to price at a 30 to 35 billion dollar market cap.
Yeah.
Wow. So it could literally get cut in half over the next like few weeks or so.
It could.
Yeah.
It's always tough with these IPOs. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
But the one thing about these recent IPOs is, one, they tend to be, you know, they can often be hot companies that people have been waiting years and years and years to get a piece of. But also they can be low float. There's not a lot of supply of Airbnb stock out there that's tradable. A lot of the employees and owners and VC funds that own most of the companies still aren't able to sell their shares yet until the lockup expires. And so there aren't that many shares, which means small transactions can push this thing down a lot or up a lot. And so that's one of the other things you have to think about with recent IPOs. And one of the reasons we like to see them kind of settle out, if they come out at a really high valuation, a lot of times they do sell off after the first couple of months, after the first lockup expires and insiders start selling. That's when you can often get a really good price on recent IPOs. Not every single one, but a lot of them historically.
Obviously, some of them have been high flying, right?
Was it Snowflake?
Snowflake.
Is it Snow?
And Snowflake's an interesting one too, because
But it's pulling back.
It is pulling back because there's a lockup, partial lockup expiring this week that's allowing some insiders to sell 25% of their holdings. And, you know, Snowflake is one that was at an absurd valuation as well post IPO, trading at, you know, over 100 times next year's sales. Which is rather unheard of, even for a really exciting SaaS stock. So, yeah, it's frothy out there, but you know these things tend to normalize over time. So
yeah. Got a question in chat. E-roll was asking, what is your view on the emerging magic mushroom / LSD market? Reminds me of the cannabis market a couple of years ago.
We're calling it the shroom boom.
The shroom boom. I love
learned
it.
that yesterday.
So I've done exactly zero analysis on this sector. What have you guys done? Any work on it yet?
A little bit. It's very early days. There's a couple of public companies now that are moving forward with like clinical trials on psychedelics and on mushrooms for the treatment of different mental health disorders and things like that. So Compass Pathways, CMPS is the ticker. That's the largest and most legitimate one we have in the public markets currently. They are in, like I said, like starting clinical trials on some of their products. Kind of similar to like there's a company called GW Pharmaceuticals in the cannabis space that looks very similar in terms of like their evolution as this company, but still very early. I mean, the regulatory hurdles that still have to be overcome are pretty massive. Although there are some areas like Oregon already decriminalized mushrooms and things like that. So there's some U.S. states that are moving that direction. I think Colorado is considering it. You've got, of course, the Netherlands, Amsterdam, the home of some legalized mushroom. And I think, is it Portugal as well, decriminalized mushrooms?
Was it Portugal that decriminalized like everything?
Yeah, yeah.
So tell me what you guys think of this. This is how I think of like the weed space and like all of this stuff. When I think about it, I'm like, cool, there's a gold rush there, obviously, right? And a lot of people are trying to make money. What that does though is when you increase the supply, it decreases the cost of the product, right? We've seen marijuana prices collapse.
Yeah.
And then that's like a bearish pressure for companies in a way. I don't know. Like, I think they make really good tradable assets, but like, I just don't know how to pick the winners long term. Like, do you guys have much confidence in that?
When it's this early, I don't have a ton of confidence in my ability to pick the ultimate winners. Even in the cannabis space right now, which is a little bit further along, or actually several years further along than the shroom space. Yeah. I still feel that it's early and that it's hard to identify who the ultimate winners are going to be.
Yeah.
There could be, a lot of winners, obviously, but
because you get shit like this, right? Like Tilray. This was one that was super hyped up. All the penny stock pump and dump losers were talking about this one, right? It went up for a couple of months and then just got the long fade into death, right? But then you've got other ones like what is it? GRWG. Look at this.
IIPR.
Yeah. Like you got some of these that are, today, look at this breakout to all-time highs. So as far as like tradable, like I kind of look at them like altcoins, right? Yeah. I don't know which ones are going to survive, but if the chart is tradable and you can get on the back of momentum, you can make money and then maybe hold like a runner in case it does turn out to be the apple of weed or whatever. I don't know.
I think there's a bunch of different strategies to kind of play this. If you're early enough in some of these booms, obviously you can make a ton of money. Like people who were early to the cannabis public company boom made a ton of money. There's some junky stocks. So I mentioned Compass Pathways in the shroom industry. There's also like some stuff like MMEDF, Mind Medicine. These are small caps, but that one's one that has already run from I think like 25 cents up to $4. Oh, okay. But very similar to a lot of like the early cannabis companies, small caps out of Canada. Some of them probably a little fraudulent, or maybe they're fraudulent companies that are trying to be more legitimate and trying to take advantage of the boom. Yeah, you can absolutely make money if you're early to those, and the timing is right. Sure. What I like to do though, and I think what we have seen play out in the cannabis space is, I like to control my risk and only invest in companies where I can get more confidence, but also finding the business models that are going to be the best business models in the space. So if you look at IIPR and GRWG, this is a classic like picks and shovels type of play. When you look at an industry like this where there's going to be a lot of players, a lot of competition before things eventually, settle out with winners 10 or 20 years from now, along the way though, there's going to be the players selling the picks and shovels that will make good money. Yeah. Players who are providing the equipment, players who are providing, in IIPR's case, they're a REIT that buys up land and then leases it out to cannabis growers. So that's a much better business than just growing cannabis itself.
Yeah, it seems like the easiest path is where competition comes in and you get crushed. Retail stores, growers, producers of edibles, maybe like that stuff seems risky, where like I like your angle, like get the real estate play, like what McDonald's did, right? Get the infrastructure, like whatever's going to be supported by the entire industry.
Yeah, if you can find plays like that, I think it's really a phenomenal way.
Or even something like Weedmaps, which we're seeing that is a SPAC basically.
Yeah. What's the ticker? It's a weird one.
SSPK.
SSPK.
It's a SPAC.
But what's interesting about them is they're basically like the Yelp / Uber Eats or DoorDash of weed, it seems like. And like that to me seems like a better business model as well. You're playing I guess the e-commerce infrastructure of marijuana, and to me, I'd rather own that than own something like a grower.
I wasn't going to spill the beans until you were able to get a full allocation, but you just spilled it for me. So yeah. This is one we actually...
It was just so perfect in the conversation. I just couldn't not bring it up.
Did you guys buy today?
Yeah, I have a small starter position. This is one that we alerted in our community today. Very interesting play, very similar to like a picks and shovels type of play in the cannabis space. This is a cannabis related company, Weedmaps, as Nikki said. I'm still doing diligence on it. There's still some things I want to research to get more confidence in this. But what's interesting about it is it's a very profitable software-based business, and so they're a marketplace, kind of similar to like a Yelp, where you can, if you're traveling or you're in a new place, you can find dispensaries around you. That's part of the business. They also provide software and processing stuff for deliveries, for cannabis deliveries, which again, similar to DoorDash. So they have that component. And they're trying to provide a lot of the back-end software for dispensaries themselves. So it's kind of a SaaS play. And it's profitable. It's got really high profit, gross profit, and operating profit margins. It's growing really nicely. If they can hit their targets over the next 3 or 4 years, the stock actually at current prices looks kind of cheap, potentially, for what it could be and the amount of profit it could generate. So, yeah, interesting business model. Interesting way to play cannabis without playing it through like the growers who are insanely competitive.
Yep.
Brand, a good brand, seems like a pretty decent management team.
And it's a SPAC.
And it's a SPAC.
SPACs don't lose, right?
Yeah.
I mean, SPACs only go up.
Yeah, not a lot of. This is not on the radar of a lot of people yet either.
Yeah.
SPAC just announced the potential deal. The deal has not even been officially approved yet, but the deal was announced last week. And
This isn't a Chamath one, right?
No.
Okay.
No.
I feel like, so 2020 is the year of like SPAC boom. Is 2021 going to be the year of SPAC disappointment?
I think it could be. It could be a little bit of a SPAC hangover. There's a lot of SPAC capital chasing deals.
Yeah.
I still think we're going to get a lot of deals done with SPACs next year, just because there's so much capital and there's all these VCs that are salivating, that are sitting on all these private companies who are now, able to get liquid through SPACs. So the VCs love it.
Yeah.
Public investors love it right now. But eventually, I think we're going to start to see some more of these deals fail, or some of the deals trade down below the initial SPAC price of $10. So yeah, wait and see on that. But I think there will be a hangover at some point.
Yeah. Cool. I have a question for you guys. What is, so kind of like in the spirit of recapping and winding up this crazy year, what is your biggest percent gainer, and then like your biggest like net profit gainer from the year? And maybe we can do losers too.
Realized or unrealized?
I guess unrealized. It could be an open
Yeah.
position too, yeah. But like, where did you make the biggest gain percentage wise, and then also dollar wise, or however you want to count it?
Oh man, I think it was Square.
Square on the percentage basis?
I mean, Square,
what was that
my
up this
buy
year?
from Square earlier is up right now 412%.
From the buys this year.
From the buys in 2020, March 2020.
So you bought the pivot low here?
yeah, when it sold off.
Okay.
I don't know if that's, I think that's the biggest one.
Yeah. I mean, that's
GME was, I think, GME was, I don't think GME
yeah, it's
was
up
bigger.
what?
It's,
Over 400%
I'm up over
from-
400% on that
Nice.
buy.
Trav, what about you?
Yeah, so it always it's an interesting question, right? Percentage gains versus dollar gains.
Yeah.
Because it's a toss up. I'd have to double check the numbers. I believe Upwork is the biggest dollar gain for me this year. Square might actually eke it out in terms of percentage gain.
But you had a pretty big size on Upwork?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And Upwork, obviously, the percentage gains are very high on Upwork as well.
Upwork's up over
Average
200%.
cost.
Yeah.
More than that, probably for you.
Yeah. Average cost on that, I think, was $9 or so, $9-10 for me.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so I'd have to go back and double check dollar versus dollar gains. But I think Square and Upwork are the two largest in terms of dollar gains for me this year. Nordstrom, significant profits, obviously, but I don't think it's actually top 2 or top 3. Just because it was a smaller position. For
Well, you've
me.
had so many massive winners this year. It doesn't, yeah.
Yeah, Square was my top percentage and dollar for 2020.
Oh, really? Okay. Sweet. You know what I realized is my biggest percentage gain this year was not in crypto and it was not in stocks. It was actually the angel investment. So I did the math from the seed round. So I invested in the seed round, and then I think it was the B. The seed round was a 7x return, so 700%. But that wasn't a 2020 entry, but that was like, because I'm getting cashed out of that, that is the biggest gain. So
Biggest realized gain of
yeah.
the year.
Not dollar wise, but just percentage wise, because it wasn't a massive position. But that's the first time where I'm like, oh shit, my biggest percentage winner was an angel deal. That's kind of cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. Hi,
out
Chris
crypto.
Dunn, accomplished angel investor. Yeah.
Both of you are.
Absolutely, you get to put that on there now.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, dollar wise, definitely Bitcoin.
By the way, I'm super excited because I'm getting into angel investing and I'm connecting with a female or a woman's angel investing network locally.
Yeah.
So like, I'm super stoked about that.
There's a
and
lot-
I'm going to be going to the meetings with you guys and like,
Sweet.
hi, I'm Nikki Dunn. I'm an angel investor.
Hell yeah. I mean, dude, there's a lot of badass angel investor women in Austin.
I'm looking forward to getting into that world more for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. And now Everlywell got $1 billion valuation based
Yeah.
out of Austin.
Yeah. Pretty phenomenal
Yeah,
run there for them.
female led. We got what
Female-led.
else? Bumble. Got a
Yep.
few other really big ones.
Yep.
All right, dude. Yeah, Bitcoin's actually looking really strong here. So we're at 19.5 right now.
How long do you think it'll take to break through 20K?
I have no idea. So this is where I'm at with this.
I'm asking impossible questions.
Right. No, I mean, this is the question everybody wants to know, right?
I know.
They hear us talk about all this other shit just to get to the Bitcoin price.
Yeah.
Bitcoin is one of those things where timing in consolidation ranges is really rough. It's tough, you know, because it can consolidate for like 6 months.
Yeah.
We saw in 2016, we only had 2 big moves that entire year. And then everything else was like consolidation ranges. So we've been, let's see, the really kind of the pivot top was back here in like the 25th of November. So we're coming up almost by Christmas on a month. So that's only 1 month. The breakout of $1,000 back in 2017 was, what was it, 110 days or something like that? So it can be 3 or 4 months. So I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if we got a breakout like this week, because now we've got all the institutional money coming in, or if it just chops around for several months. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, I'd like to see it go up 3% in the next hour so you get a face that.
I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't believe I've gotten out of any kind of Bitcoin tattoo for this many years.
I mean, look, the price on the technical level looks bullish AF.
Yeah.
Because not only it pulled back to that 17,000 area, and now we've got a higher low.
Yeah.
We're squeezing into resistance with very bullish price action.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it looks like it could go any day. To me.
It really could. It wouldn't take much to get it going. And like, this is the stuff that I think is driving. I mean, we've been talking about this for months at this point, but last week, I think it was, man, my days are running together. Mass Mutual, I don't know what day it was, but they bought $100 million worth of Bitcoin. And why I think this is important is they're a damn insurance company.
I know, it's
right?
crazy.
Like that to me is a stamp of like the big money's here. You could make an argument that MicroStrategy is speculating and being irresponsible, but whenever you start to get insurance companies like this buying massive blocks like that, I don't know what else there is. Like,
insurance companies have a lot of money and they have a lot of liability to their, policyholders if they have to pay out claims. If they get reckless and lose money and can't pay out their claims, they're effed. So to me, this is crazy.
Yeah.
This is to me, this is risky, but it just goes to show you that there are institutions that are that bullish on Bitcoin that they're willing to take on that risk.
yeah.
Which, I don't know, what do you think about it?
Oh, 100%. I totally agree with you. Like, insurance companies tend to be the most conservative of like the major groups of like large institutional investors. They have heavy bond allocations.
Yeah.
They mostly stick to blue chip stocks.
or options, things like that.
Yeah, like it's rare to see insurance companies push into like more risky assets in a big way. So very interesting to see. Like I just expected us to continue to see more like institutional investors like hedge funds and mutual funds and things like that push into crypto increasingly. But to see an insurance company start to get the ball rolling, that's really bullish
Yeah.
from the institutional
But
side.
the problem is with insurance companies is they do have to get some yield. They have to find return.
I guess that's the dilemma,
That's
right?
the dilemma that they
Yeah.
have with this new low rate environment.
Yeah.
They're like, well, crap, they're being forced to essentially have to take on more risk. Just like the pension funds are eventually going to get pushed to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Thanks to low interest rates.
I guess so. This is where the world is going. I think all the major institutions are going to say it's irresponsible to own nothing, right? So I don't know how much cash MassMutual has. I would guess to say that 100 million is a relatively small percentage of their overall capital. So
Yeah.
if they lose all of that, it's not going to break them or like
Right.
make everybody like bail out. But it does get them off of zero, as a lot of people in the crypto space say, right?
Yeah.
Like it gets them away from saying like we're being irresponsible by not owning Bitcoin. And then if it does get the growth trajectory that everybody's looking at, that can give them
good.
that alpha that they're not going to get anywhere else.
Yeah,
potentially. So,
exactly. And like we've said, it doesn't take a huge allocation to make a big difference in alpha at this point. So
Yeah.
I guess institutions are realizing that and they're going in.
And we've said before that the pool of institutional assets is just so large. I mean, so I was just pulling up the numbers here. MassMutual themselves own over $500 billion of assets, or they manage over $500 billion of assets. So, yeah, as you think about the pools of institutional money out there, literally trillions of dollars
Yeah.
in institutional asset managers' management. So, small numbers equal big numbers for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Small allocations equal big numbers for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
What was it? A couple of months ago, Fidelity came out with the report saying like, if everybody allocates 1 to 5% of their portfolio, Bitcoin's going to be a lot more expensive. Yeah.
Yep, I see it. I do. I can see that.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
We might have one of our sound
It's being
panels
held up
trying
by
to fall
the
on us.
AC.
Yeah.
Well, it's coming down on me. So.
I knew that was going to
man.
happen one day.
That's funny. All right. So we talked about Airbnb. We talked about DoorDash. This was something interesting I was thinking about is like the exodus from cities. Like it looks like it's currently accelerating right now because of the Corona stuff. But I think the pendulum's going to swing back the other direction. Maybe I don't know, as soon as next year. Do you guys have an opinion on this? Like, well, one thing I was thinking about is, okay, everybody knows the vaccine's here. They're going to get it within the next 6 months or so. So maybe a lot of the fears of being in the city is going to subside. And then a lot of people that were either thinking about leaving are going to either put those plans on pause, or some people that did move out going, I don't like living in the middle of nowhere. Maybe they're going to start to come back.
They
And
may get bored and be like, I miss the fast life.
yeah.
Yeah. Or well, but then you think about it too, and it's like, well, a lot of millennials are moving out to these suburbs, right? That may not have started families yet, and if they start families, maybe they'll just be locked in the suburbs from then on. I don't know. I don't know. I can see the pendulum kind of swinging, but overall, I think that cities will become desirable again. I think people forget very easily, and I think that the cities still have a lot of great things to offer.
Yeah, as soon as it's normal to go to restaurants again, like, what are you going to do? Continue to sit in your house? I mean, I think people are going to rush back on planes. They're going to rush. They've already tried to rush back on cruises, which they keep pushing back, thankfully. But
I think next year, by the middle of next year, it's going to be the pendulum will swing the other way. People are going to be partying
Hard.
like crazy.
Hard.
yeah,
And the best parties are in the cities. Well,
Yeah.
maybe that's not true, actually. But, to a large extent, I'm sure, in many cases.
Or if people
Density.
get forced to go back to work in actual in corporate buildings, then they're gonna possibly have this crazy long commute, and they're not gonna like it, and they're just gonna be kind of forced back to the city because they don't like the commute of being in the suburbs.
but what if the large majority of people stay working from home?
If they stay working from home, that's a different story. Which that I guess is going to be to be seen. We don't really know what corporations are going to do on that front.
I don't know. I guess a lot of the major tech companies said like you can stay working
Yeah.
from home, as far as I know.
Is that going to work though long term? That's I think it can, and I
Yeah.
think it probably will.
I think a lot of people are loving this work from home life.
Yeah.
I think the hybrid model is going to become more and more popular, where you have people able to do remote work, but also companies will have offices for meeting space and for collaboration. And some people will want to come in a couple days a week at least, because I do know there are a lot of people, especially those with kids living in smaller places, that they actually want to go into the office and socialize and be part of that and be away from their kids. So
Yeah.
For sure.
I think the hybrid model will actually look increasingly more interesting, and I don't think that's anything groundbreaking, but
Yeah, it's funny how people are like either or with all of this, with cities versus suburbs, remote versus, in-person work.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be so extreme. There can be a mix now going forward of both.
Yeah, it's like anything else, like the middle path, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I mean, we've already seen airlines make a pretty dramatic rebound.
Yeah.
You can see, I mean,
Poor
Delta's.
Buffett.
Huh? Poor
Poor
Buffett, yeah.
Buffett.
hold the bottom.
God, he
Dude.
sold the bottom of the airlines.
I mean, I hate to say this, but maybe it's time for him just to ride off into the sunset and chill, dude. Has he lost his edge, Trav?
I don't think so.
No?
I don't
He
think so.
honestly, at the time, I see why he sold the airlines. There was a crap ton of risk. Like,
I sold the
for sure.
airlines.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But gosh, he sold the bottom. Poor Buffett.
I shifted.
I don't feel bad for him at all.
Oh, I don't either. He's not. I think it's also interesting because people treat like some of the best investors like Buffett as like, every trade they make is
Perfect.
perfection. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not. Like, he's had plenty of mistakes in his career. And
And he's not a tech guy. Like, he's, for large part, missed out on the tech boom, except Apple, I guess, right?
yeah, but he's made more profits on Apple in terms of dollar profits than probably most other hedge funds have made in the last 10 years on their tech stocks. So
True.
It's kind of like
That shows, like, trade less, profit more. Like, you don't have to do a whole lot to make a lot of money.
Yep.
Yeah.
He made a big bet on Apple and he's stuck with it over a couple of year time frame, and it's paid off massively.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the airlines, I mean, I think we can always look back in hindsight as things like have improved rapidly and say that was a poor decision. But with the information at the time, I get it. Like you said, like those business models have a lot of operating and financial leverage. And while I was also bullish on the recovery of air travel longer term, I thought the way to play the air travel recovery could be done with less risk by buying things like airports or TripAdvisor or places
Yeah.
like that. And that has worked. And so like, even though these airlines are back up, I don't feel bad about getting out of airlines and getting into those other stocks because not only do I have a return that's as good or better, but I feel like I took less risk by doing that. So I think that's probably Buffett's take as well, is like, he was able to exit, and even though it wasn't like the right decision in hindsight from a return perspective, it gave him the capital to be able to deploy into other things and to do other things and to have more confidence. We also forget he has a big insurance business within Berkshire, and that insurance business was looking at potential liabilities, unknown amounts of liabilities potentially, depending on what could have happened with COVID over time. Businesses that were that were losing money due to COVID, things like that. So he has a mandate to manage risk for his shareholders. And
For sure. Hindsight's always 20/20. We can laugh at it and say he got low ticked, but he's still a lot richer than we are.
All of us.
Yeah.
yeah, that's the thing about investing though, right? It's like all your investment decisions don't have to be correct. If you do proper risk management and position sizing, like you're just aiming to get 60, 70, 80% types of win rates, and just do it consistently over a long period of time, and you're going to compound wealth. You don't have to be like YOLOing at every turn. Like Warren Buffett is literally one of the top 3 or 4 richest people in the world. And like people will make fun of him. They made fun of him during the .com bubble, but like he just keeps chugging along. He's like, I don't care. I don't care if y'all criticize me. I'm like the top 5 like richest people in the world because my shit works over a 50-year time frame.
Yeah.
He's laughing at all the Robinhood traders right now and the SPAC chasers.
He's like, cool, make your millions. That's cool. Like make a couple mil. You know what? My net worth is measured in the tens of billions.
Yeah.
And it might be boring, but hey, it worked.
Yep.
Ain't mad at it.
Talking about boring stocks, I see a question in there on Dropbox. This is one that actually popped what was it, Friday it popped?
Yeah,
So it gapped up into the weekend.
Yeah, on whispers of an acquisition.
Yeah, so
target
Lonson
being
was saying Dropbox seems like a great trade, but I'm curious concerning their business model. Don't they have a lot of competition in the space, diminishing margins, and a slowing of growth? That's a great question.
Yeah.
Trav, what do you make of that?
So Dropbox, this is the reason the opportunity exists. The general lazy narrative about Dropbox for people that don't look close enough is that it's a crowded space with players like Microsoft and Google giving away competing products for free, right? Giving away storage for free. And you've also got competition between Box and Dropbox and some other storage players. Technically, even AWS has some storage components to it that people can use. And so that's always been the knock against Dropbox. I think that's why the valuation has always been relatively cheap for the stock. Mm-hmm. But that overlooks a lot of interesting dynamics happening. One, Google is actually raising prices and removing storage options, not getting more competitive. They're actually getting less competitive. So that's one thing to note. Also, the competition's been around for this business for a long time, but Dropbox has continued to grow over the past 5 years like clockwork. The growth rate has decelerated. They were growing above 20% 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Today, they're growing low double digits. But they have consistently been able to continue growing the business over the last 5 and 10 years, even as Microsoft and Google and Box have been competing in the space. Plus, you also have new products that Dropbox has been rolling out. They bought HelloSign. They've been expanding that. That's been growing rapidly. They have a passwords manager now. They have the Spaces product. They're probably going to be acquiring other stuff in the future. So people think of Dropbox as this commoditized storage play, but it's not. It's a lot more than that. And again, so I think the narratives are actually just lazy and wrong for people that don't look close enough. Mm-hmm. The other thing too is you mentioned margins. Even though growth has been decelerating, margins have actually been improving rapidly. So we could even pull it up on Koyfin if you want, but the operating profit margins of Dropbox have improved significantly over the last year, and they are now gushing cash. This is an incredibly profitable business that's kicking off hundreds of millions of cash flow annually, and their goal is to get to $1 billion of annual free cash flow by 2024. And management has said over and over at conferences that they're very, very confident in their ability to hit that target. So today you're paying roughly like an $8.5 billion market cap for Dropbox. Actually, maybe a little higher now after this recent pop. Maybe it's closer to $9 billion.
Yeah, it looks like it's a little over 9 right now.
Yeah, let's call it $9 billion market cap, but you've got no debt and $1 billion of net cash on the balance sheet. So effectively, you're paying an $8 billion enterprise value for a company that's very confident it's going to be generating $1 billion of free cash flow 3 years from now. So you're paying, what, 8-9 times cash flow 3 years out? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a crazy cheap multiple for a company that has proven it's pretty resilient and able to grow. And
especially in like a hot market like this where you've got so much stuff that's just trading at sky high valuations. It's like when you find a good business like this that's trading at reasonable valuations, it is kind of like, what's going on? Like, why don't people see that? Or why is the hype train not catching on?
Yeah. And it's not the sexiest of businesses. And again, I think it's a legitimate thing to say, like, yes, the growth rate has decelerated for this company, but that kind of happens no matter what. If you're a business that's growing over time, your growth rate will typically decelerate as you get to a more mature phase and you have, more customer penetration. So
yeah, and you become more profitable.
Yes, and you become more profitable. So that's all fairly natural. And I don't think this is like the craziest growth company ever created. But I think it's one that doesn't get enough respect. And I do think, the tech newsletter came out last week saying that this was a potential acquisition target, which is something that we've been saying for the past couple of months. And I think I said it last week or week before that the Slack acquisition by Salesforce could accelerate, like Zoom or Adobe, if they're looking to potentially acquire Dropbox, it could accelerate their timeline on that. So I do think the M&A rumors there might be some actual credibility behind it. Mm-hmm. Although the information did announce some potential M&A acquirers. They were like, these companies like ServiceNow or Oracle could be acquirers of Dropbox. I thought that was kind of silly. Yeah. I was like, that is not who should be acquiring Dropbox, and I don't think ServiceNow would be a terrible fit for Dropbox, I think. Oracle, probably also a very terrible fit, but Oracle was going after TikTok. So I don't know what Oracle's M&A strategy is all about.
Yeah.
Well, now that they're coming here, you can just go down the
Yeah, we
street
can
and
go
ask
find
them.
out.
Yeah. So maybe Oracle makes some dumb play, but I think the most logical acquirers of Dropbox would be Zoom or Adobe.
Zoom
Yeah.
makes like a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
And also, on the last conference call, the CEO was talking about how, they can do acquisitions if they want to, if Dropbox wants to. They're going to have the cash to be able to do that, to help them grow strategically. And it's funny because they have this whole HelloSign versus DocuSign thing. Like, Dropbox has HelloSign, right?
Mm-hmm.
DocuSign is a $40 billion company. Dropbox owns HelloSign and is a $9 billion company. So they have this like growth lever if they can really get HelloSign to catch on and get users using it, especially within the Dropbox ecosystem. It really feels to me like Dropbox is beginning to create an ecosystem, a work ecosystem with all of these different applications built in, that makes it really easy to run your business or whatever.
I kind of like that idea where you have a business that's underappreciated because it's known for like one core product, but most people don't see the innovation and the bigger picture that's happening behind the scenes. And maybe that's how, like Amazon in the early days, like people saw the .com bust and everything was just going to die and pets.com went away. But then you have some of these businesses that do build just incredible other products and other ways of making money and growing the EV.
Yeah, 100%.
Speaking of growth, y'all better stop buying Bitcoin right now.
I was just gonna pull that up.
Yeah. It looks like it's, I don't know, it's testing 19.5. I know Tony's happy over there.
Chris is going to have a tattoo by the end of this.
Yeah.
He's checking his watch to see, can we cut this off before Bitcoin hits 20K and I have to get a tattoo?
Oh, man. Thankfully, I was saved by $20
Which is
last
nuts.
time.
I
Yeah.
was watching
Yeah,
that
that was
live
wild.
and I was like, whoa.
All right, we got some more questions coming in. I'm going to try to keep up with these guys. Sorry if we've been missing some, but Twana was asking, I know you get this question frequently, but I was wondering if you could name a few altcoins with potential for massive success. So, okay. So here's what I'm going to preface this with. My own camera, I'm going to speak directly to the camera, talking to you guys. All right. I was one of the first guys in the world doing Bitcoin and crypto videos. All right. I don't say that to brag. I say that because I have a lot of context in this space. I've been around the crypto space for a long time. Over the past few years, there have been a litany of other YouTubers that come out and they do headlines like this: the top 5 altcoins that are set to go 1,000x in the next month. Bow, 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 exclamation, bow, bow. Right? All this bullshit, right? That's not how we operate here. We operate with the assumption that most crypto projects are going to zero over time, but in the short to medium term, we can trade those opportunities. We can make a lot of money trading that kind of medium time frame, a few weeks to a few months out. With that said, my opinion on which coins are good to trade changes week by week or sometimes even day by day, right? I have a group of projects that I look at and I go, fundamentally, these make sense, right? These aren't blatant scams. They're actually building real products. Maybe there's some key man risk or some centralization. They got to get worked out, whatever. But like, you'll never hear me just go, oh yeah, you should buy these top 5 coins and just hodl and hold on for dear life. That's not what we do. We actively trade. We look for trade setups and we manage risk. With that said, the industry or the sector of the crypto market outside of Bitcoin that I'm excited about is 1, Ethereum, 2, any Ethereum competitors, 3, decentralized exchanges and centralized exchanges, anything having to do with synthetic markets and derivatives, and then all the other kind of like fun tokens I'm not that excited about. So that's why, like talking about like picks and shovels and the rails, that's why I had a really big trade on Chainlink, and I saw another question about Chainlink, so I'll bring this up. But what I look to do is I look to get in at strategic times. See, is this the chart? So we bought, for example, I had Chainlink on my radar for a long time, but I didn't buy until this $5 breakout. And then I scaled out pretty quickly into like the $8 low teens and then high teens. And then right now I'm kind of neutral on-chain link. I'm holding 25% of my original position, and you can see it's been mid-range literally since the summer, right? It hasn't really budged. It's just been consolidating. So so that's, I just want to set the stage. Like, I'm not the guy to come out there and be like, look at this new ICO and this new coin and like pumping and dumping and doing all that bullshit. Like, we're active traders and we invest in projects if we can get in early and it looks like a good accumulation play, but it's just not my MO to be that guy, you know?
Love it.
I don't know how else to say that. I've just gotten so disgusted with the state of the crypto YouTube community, if you want to call it that, because it's just so much hype and so much pumping and so much like so many people just chasing stuff that I just get like frustrated with it. And I just don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, and I mean, your performance shows that what you've done and what you're doing works. Like,
yeah.
I mean, you and Rocky have a phenomenal track record. So like, why would you? And I think people over time start to understand and see what the difference is between people like you and Rocky and people that are on YouTube shilling a different coin every 3 weeks because they're getting paid to do it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I mean, I think most people will pick up on bullshit if they're around long enough, if they don't blow themselves out.
I do get frustrated though, because I see a lot of these other crypto guys and ladies now that are very hypey and very pumpy, and they are getting paid to talk about these projects. And I just see the new people coming in getting slaughtered, and I'm like,
well, it's kind of like the shiny new toys, right? Like, you want to get in and play with them, and it's like dangling everywhere right now. We've seen some of the percentage moves that cryptocurrencies have had, and people are excited and they want to get in and they don't want to miss the next big move.
Yeah.
But you still have to think about what you're actually buying. Like, yes, you can trade them, but understand you're trading them.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're not just trading them, understand why you're buying them and the risk associated with each coin.
Yeah.
And I just think that people get really excited with things that are new, and they don't think about those types of things. They just want to make the fast cash.
Yeah.
We have the same issues cropping up in stocks, and it happens in the stock world, you know, every few years as well. But we're having a lot of the same problems arise. Options, SPACs, like people are TikTok investors. You know, I should use quotes because there are a ton of 20 and 30 something people on TikTok pitching as if they have it figured out and that they're great investors. And some of the stuff is really
dangerous.
Dangerous.
It's like some of the financial advice on TikTok is downright dangerous.
It's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's very true. But they're hypey. They're like really hypey in these videos, and obviously this has been a frothy market where everything's gone up, right? We haven't really seen. This has been a different environment.
Yeah. And
people we've gotten so many new investors and traders in 2020 coming in with this kind of market, and I'm concerned that they're not realizing the realities of how the market really is in a normal situation.
Yeah.
And they think, same thing with crypto, they think, oh, it has to go up. It's going to go up. Of course it's going to go up. They don't think about the risk at all. They don't think about the other side of the trade at all. They're like, oh, this coin's going to go up. Next hot thing,
Coin
right?
moon,
of course. Yeah, mooning. Stocks only go up. And it's like, that's very dangerous to me.
Yeah. BTC Kyle just made a comment too. He goes like, Ripple to reach $100 by end of 2021. Here's why. Yeah, like these are all the fucking headlines in the crypto channels nowadays. And I'm like, this is grosser than the ICO shit we had to deal with 3 years ago.
And unfortunately, like YouTube doesn't help because their algorithms are built to sort of promote those types of headlines, the attention-grabbing stuff, the stuff that people will be like, "Wait, what? I got to click on that. I got to see how it's going to 100. What if they're right?" You know, like, it's so interesting that this is like classic, age-old, get-rich-quick. People were doing it before the internet. You know. And it's always going to be with us. We just hope that we can reach enough people that you know we can help them and help people actually build wealth the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say I don't care about vanity metrics like views and subs, which I really don't. It's really impact that I think we're going for. But at the same time, like I do get frustrated when I see these hypey guys getting like tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of views on these bullshit videos where I'm like, you just caused a lot of people to lose a lot of money. They haven't lost it yet, but they're going to, because we're going to be on the other side of that trade. So I don't know. I guess all I can do is try to be the voice of reason for the crypto community as like a crypto grandpa now. Like
sometimes it does feel like that. You're like the
because there's so much of this like blind leading the blind. Like on TikTok, you got people that probably have 5K in their account trying to act like they've figured the markets out, right?
Yeah.
It's like, why not listen to multi-millionaires that have made a shit ton of money in the markets that actually know about risk management and stuff? I guess people just have to get in, lose money. Hopefully they survive and they don't get wiped out, and then they can come back after they learn those hard lessons and go, this isn't exactly like shooting fish in a barrel.
I mean, it's the cycle, right? It's the cycle that most traders and investors go through. But we're just trying to help shorten the learning curve over here. That's what we're trying to do.
We'll be here. Hey, it's like, with Buffett, right? We'll be here doing our thing, compounding, hopefully knock on wood.
Trading less, profiting more.
Yeah, and when you're ready, when you've taken your licks and you're ready to like join the big leagues, come join.
Yeah.
And honestly, like I will say, if you know people that are kind of going about it the wrong way and you've experienced what we do, you're part of our community or you watch our YouTube stuff, like help share our stuff, like we're only going to get more traction and a bigger following if people share our stuff. So if you like us, if you believe in what we do, share our stuff with your friends and yeah, we'd appreciate it.
Yeah. So with that said, let's look at some crypto charts. Hey. What's going to the moon, baby? No, it really, I mean, it's actually been nice that altcoins have been like kind of boring for the past couple of weeks. Like we had that big growth, big explosion in Bitcoin through September, October. So anytime you get like an 80% move in that short period of time, it needs to pause. And hopefully it pauses for at least the next hour so I don't have to get a face tattoo. But yeah, Ethereum's another one that I've been long. I got the heaviest position that I have been since 2017 back in September. So we were buying in like the low threes and then kind of scaled up through that 400 breakout. And, we've again had some volatility, but my first target up here is in between 700 and 800. And then I've really just got runners. Like I've got runners on Link, I've got runners on Tezos, a few other things. And I've just been paying a close attention to some other DeFi projects. But for me, I just don't feel like this is the time to go in heavy. Like right now in crypto feels like outside of Bitcoin, obviously like Bitcoin, I'm super heavy right now. But outside of that, to me, it feels like kind of a pause moment and like preparing for the next altcoin season. I just don't think we're there yet. But if Bitcoin breaks 20K and we get that next leg up, that's going to create what Rocky calls the popcorn effect, where other things start to go along with it. So I'm prepared for that. And I have my third tier like watch list, right? Where my primary plays, my secondary plays, and then like third level shit like Ripple that I would trade again, but very, very carefully.
In the right environment.
Right environment, right setups. Like I've made a lot of money in Ripple in the early days, but nowadays, because there's so many bag holders from the CNBC pump, like I'm not aggressive in that anymore. Like you have to understand market cycles.
I have a question. So like 20K is obviously a big level, right? A lot of in Bitcoin. Sorry, it's a big level. Maybe a lot of bag holders from the last run that it had into 20K, right?
Yeah.
Do you? To me, the price action is not necessarily reflecting that being an issue, because you'd be thinking there'd be a lot of people taking profits and kind of holding the price down. To me, the price action just doesn't look like that's a problem. What do you think?
I think that's a great question, and here's my opinion. So, yes, anytime there's a big move up and then it sells off, that the bag holders, the people that bought near the high, become selling pressure in the future.
Exactly.
Right? I think, and again, I don't know this for sure, but my guess, and based on what I can read in the price action, is that bag holders got wiped out twice, maybe even 3 times. The first time was here. So there was this line of hope back in 2018 where Bitcoin was holding on to 6K for like half the year or more, right? And when that broke down, you guys should, I mean,
remember that.
You remember, like,
It was like deflating for everybody.
oh my God, it felt like late 2014 again, where everybody was throwing in the towel, rage quitting, capitulating. So I think a lot of people got wiped out there. We bought that low.
Yeah.
The second one was in March, obviously, when Bitcoin fell by 50% in less than 2 days. That was another good buying opportunity where bag holders got wiped out. But also, what a lot of people don't think about is this run in the summer of 2019. Look where it got to. It got to where most of the prior resistance was. So I think anybody that held on, they could have also been selling into this. So where prior support turned resistance, that's what happened there. So my guess is that now, where we are now, there is very little, if any, bag holders left to hold price down.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm reading in the price action. So that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think even though the market sentiment is so bullish right now, it's very different than 2017 in that it's big money buying that's driving prices higher. It's not the speculative bubble where you guys remember, like 2017, it was all the news reports of, oh my God, my daddy put my wedding fund in Bitcoin, and now instead of 40 grand, I have 140 grand. You remember, like, a lot of local news stories were doing that, and then people were like rushing to the mall to their local Bitcoin ATM to like try to buy Bitcoin. I just don't see that happening this time.
Yeah.
So it's a different capital flow. It's a different structure to the price action.
Makes sense.
It's good to see.
Yeah.
50, 100K might be a little different.
Yeah.
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 That's gonna get interesting if it gets if it gets there.
Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know. Let's do some more questions. Sorry guys, I know we've been going on some rants here.
Ben is asking about the bearish case for BTC.
Yeah, I mean the bear. So there are always key risks to Bitcoin, and the bear case, I think, to me, the biggest bear case is some kind of aggressive regulation by like G20, right? Like where you get all the major countries in the world that simultaneously ban Bitcoin. That's the biggest risk I see. I don't think that's going to happen. Is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? No. But that's the biggest key man risk. I'm not really afraid of quantum computing and like all those like futuristic things. Maybe I'm not smart enough to think that far ahead, but from what I've read and from what I understand about it, I'm not that afraid of it. Because if something that big cracks everything we have, we're going to have more problems than just the price of Bitcoin, and the security of the Bitcoin network.
Yeah.
I think the quantum computing stuff is funny. Sorry, I'm cutting you off.
No, go ahead, please.
Finish. Well, we should talk about quantum computing after this.
No, go for it. Now's the perfect time.
I mean, if you actually dig into the current state of quantum computers and move past the headlines that come out every 6 months when they have like a breakthrough, quantum computers are so far from being able to actually operate on normal problems. It's laughable. Like quantum computers will be a thing eventually, but and Vitalik has talked about this in various places, but there will be fixes for the problems that quantum computing can bring to cryptography.
Yeah.
The second thing is that, again, quantum computers today require massive amounts of energy, massive amounts of cost, and they're just not very good. The number of qubits is still very, very small. The actual number of calculations they can run is small. The work that has to get done to go from where quantum computers are today to where they could reliably be like an AMD or Intel CPU in your PC is like night and day. It's like 10, 20 years out. I mean, it's not even like, it's not near term at all.
Yeah. So it's not like we're going to wake up and then like, oh no, the Bitcoin algorithm got hacked by a quantum computer. Like we're going to have time. Like if a risk like that does creep up, like we're going to have time to work on it.
Nobody has a quantum computer sitting in a lab that's like, all the quantum computers that exist today are basically in like university or like there's a few private companies that are working on them, but they take the space of like an entire house.
Yeah.
And they require like crazy amounts of infrastructure and cooling. And it's like, it's a joke. Like nobody's turning that on to cracking Bitcoin in the next 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody just made a comment too that Andreas and Simon Dixon were talking about it.
Cool. Yeah. I want to check that out. I love geeking out about that stuff. Cause I think it's super fascinating and the science behind it's interesting, but yeah, as far as practical applications from quantum computers, like we're so far off, it's not even funny.
Yeah. Yep. Appreciate those comments, Trav. Like Travis knows more about more things than anybody I know. Like,
oh yeah.
The range of knowledge this guy has.
He's the smartest man alive.
No. No, but I appreciate
He's
that.
humble.
Yeah, just the range of shit you know about, man.
And
I'm
you
like,
retain so much information. I'm like, I have to Google things all the time. So,
I bet you got A's in
funny.
school, didn't you nerd?
I did, but
he did. You hear that?
But I did a lot of like, one thing that I benefit from is just being able to like cram a lot of stuff in my head. And that's actually, I think, why I like investing is because you get to like, as a generalist investor, look at a lot of different things and a lot of different industries. And I think I'm just suited for it. But I got by in high school on just like cramming for tests like the night before, like all-nighters. Like that was my deal.
I got by
That's not intelligence,
cheating off of my classmates.
Tisk.
Yep. We got a question about how about basic attention tokens? So BAT. So yeah, there are a handful or less of utility tokens that I actually think serve a purpose and are actually kind of interesting. BAT is one of them. It's the native token for the Brave browser. It's a way that you can earn through the browser, and you can also contribute to content creators. I think stuff like this is really interesting because of all the issues of demonetization from YouTube. Hey, and any centralized company, like I think it's cool to be able to contribute directly, and BAT makes it kind of easy to do that. The bear case for that is people would argue, well, you don't need BAT, you just use Bitcoin. I don't subscribe to that argument. But as far as like an investment, I don't look at BAT or any of these like truly utilized utility tokens as investments. I use them, right? So I earn them and then I'll sell part of them and I'll contribute some back. So do I own BAT? Yeah. Do I hold it as an investment? No. I look at it as something that I use, and when I want to take profit, I'll sell it into something else. And that's why I think the price is range bound. I actually think it's healthy for a utility token like this to be range bound, because if people start speculating on it and they stop using it, then it inherently kills the value. So I think some coins and projects are better off just having a stable value.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me. I could see, if a utility token becomes an increasingly valuable utility, like if the Brave browser as it becomes more and more useful and has higher penetration and number of users, and the publishing model takes off, that's kind of, to me, seems like a type of opportunity where it would be like a really long-term, like blue chip type of stock, where it's like you don't see fast gains, but you might see like an upward trajectory, steady over time.
Yeah.
If it's truly gaining utility and the supply is managed such that it's not released like in mass. All the time.
That's a good point.
Like that I could see a case for in something like that, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in the weeds enough on BAT particularly, but.
Yeah, I don't know the tokenomics off the top of my head, other than, they have a lot of them. Like the supply is big, and they've been very generous with, they just ended their referral program, which was sad because I was making some good money off of that every month, but
they didn't want to pay you anymore.
I know, right? They're like, we got enough users, we got network effect, and when I get it. But yeah, okay, we've got a few more questions here. Michael was asking, I think we've had variations of this question, and I think it's, so much has changed since the beginning of the year with the monetary system and stimulus and all this stuff. I just want to revisit this. So the question is, hey guys, want to compliment you on the show. Doing a great work of educating people. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
How will, in your opinion, this situation with all this money printing and QEs end? Because till now, all fiat currencies have died in the end and gotten replaced by something else. most people are still really struggling, and it seems like most people who are doing financially well are people in high-tech companies and asset investors, which I think is very true. Is it possible to get back to the gold standard in the near future, or maybe the Bitcoin standard in the distant future? So again, I know we've talked about this several times, but I just wanted to revisit this because it's a very valid question. And with the amount of supply of US dollars that's been created this year, I think it's something that's on a lot of people's minds. And the more people that wake up to what money is and the risks and rewards of different financial systems, the better, the more educated people are, right? So why don't you guys take it?
Well, the gold standard, you know, that creates its own set of problems, right? Volatility in the banking industry. And I imagine a Bitcoin standard would probably cause the same potential issues. No?
It's not risk free, but the bear case for fiat currencies is, yeah, they all die. The dollar as a fiat currency is pretty old, but I don't have a crystal ball on timing, but I see where the world's going with the central bank digital currencies. That is like clear now. Like it's like if you're driving, that's the headlights are shining on that. We can see that. We can also see Bitcoin is growing in adoption. So I don't know, Trav. I know, you know, you've been pretty pragmatic about this whole thing. Have your views changed at all, or what's your current opinion on the state of the dollar?
Yeah, I would say my views have definitely evolved over time, but I think the core principle that I've believed for the last decade is that governments will not give up control over their ability to conduct monetary policy if they can help it. So things like going back to the gold standard or moving to a Bitcoin standard are not going to happen. The governments are not just going to allow that magically to happen. For that to happen, there would have to be a massive crisis, a loss of confidence. And I do think there's a decent probability of something happening like that because governments have a way of screwing things up. And
You don't say.
Yeah, and we can see this this movement towards the larger amounts of money being printed, larger fiscal stimulus packages over time. We can see this movement towards embracing MMT ideas and the fact that deficits don't matter. And I've actually, for a long time, been in the camp that we should be less worried about running the size of government deficits that we've had, that we shouldn't impose, especially during economic crises, we shouldn't say the government needs to balance their budget. I think actually being able to counteract the economic cycles with some amount of government spending is actually useful. It prevents things like the Great Depression.
And we've seen that in the prior stimulus package.
So for the longest time, since the financial crisis, I've been trying to actually help people understand that better. And I kind of like that this conversation is happening about deficits not being the evil boogeyman. But I'm also of the mind that we can't take it too far. And unfortunately, I think governments eventually will take it too far. Yeah. And they're going to print too much because they're going to say, well, deficits don't matter at all. My whole thing the whole time has been deficits aren't a bad thing in and of themselves. They are a tool to be used, but if you use it the wrong way and you go to the extreme, it will be bad.
Like anything.
And
right?
and my question is I see that's the pragmatic view of it, but how does it not spiral out of control?
And I think it will.
Like we've seen, right? We're starting to see the signs of that. And who's going to be the politician to stand up and go, no, now's the time to draw it back? I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, it will be. I don't have enough clarity on that either.
Yeah.
I do think governments will screw this up.
Yeah.
They're going from this side of the fence, and now we're eventually going to push to this side of it where they do too much. They'll do too much with money printing, whether it's basic income experience or experiments, MMT gone wrong, that kind of stuff. We're going to see some weird shit in the next 20 years with monetary policy or fiscal policy and monetary policy gone wrong.
Yeah. My prediction is next year, 2021, we're going to have a major shift in something. So what I mean is look, I'm not just coming up with this out of nowhere. The IMF has said it.
Yeah.
The ECB, the Fed, they're all going, yep, something's got to change. There's going to be a massive reset of some sort. I'm not smart enough to figure out what that looks like in their minds. All I know is I want to own assets like Bitcoin. I own some gold, right? Like my Bitcoin is way higher than gold, but I like gold. I don't hate gold. It's less useful than Bitcoin, but I have some, right?
Yeah.
We also
it's
own
got a
equity
proven
in
track
companies,
record.
right? No matter what happens with the monetary system, there's still going to be profit generating companies. And I just don't want people in the crypto space to go, we don't want to own companies because the Fed is evil, right? People with that mentality miss the boat. And
Yeah, it's like, do you not want to own land just because,
Yeah.
because the Fed's doing weird things?
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you not want to own like other great assets because the Fed is doing
I
weird
think
shit?
people forget that corporations are like real corporations, like stocks are real corporations that have real profits and real businesses, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you probably have a business. A lot of our viewers probably have businesses. It's really no different than investing in your business or someone else's business.
Yeah.
And I think people lose sight of that.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry we cut you off.
No. I mean, it's
I want
true.
to hear
It's,
the rest of what you were saying.
no, I mean, that's it. I mean, we want to own equity in profitable companies, and we want to own physical assets like land. We want to own hard, verifiably scarce assets like Bitcoin and maybe some gold. I feel like, and look, I could be proven wrong in the future. Like, I think we talked about this last week, so I won't harp on it too much, but people that put their entire net worth in Bitcoin, that's risky because we don't know what the future holds. I think that you can make bigger gains if Bitcoin goes up significantly just by holding Bitcoin. But for my comfort level, and everybody's risk tolerance is different, my comfort level, I want to have a level of diversification. Like, I'm not 100% Bitcoin. We own equities, we own some real estate, we own, hard assets. I don't know. I just feel like that's something that's worth pointing out, that like we can have our opinions about what the future looks like, but nobody really knows. And you got to get skin in the game somewhere. And you got to figure out for you, what does that pie look like? Is it 100% Bitcoin? Is it 1% Bitcoin? Is it, for everybody that's different, and there is no right answer because we can't predict the future. All we can do is look at the information we have today and try to come up with the best vision of what the possibilities and probabilities for the future look like.
And a key too is that we will be able to adjust those possibilities and probabilities as we move forward in time. So this idea that you should position yourself in an extreme way because you believe that there will be a downfall of fiat currencies sometime in the next 50 years, like that's
What happens if there isn't?
yeah, and that's a really extreme position to take. You can own in the meantime great assets that you think will appreciate in lots of different types of environments. You can allocate to assets, like you said, like scarcer assets like Bitcoin, to also protect you against the extreme situation.
Yeah.
But not your whole wealth has to be tied up in an extreme type of position that will only benefit if some black swan event happens. You can adjust over time. I think it'll be interesting to see how everything evolves, and if governments do move forward into more and more debasement at a more rapid rate than they have in the past, then there will be investment decisions to be made on that, and there will be even in stocks, there will be some stocks that will actually benefit from a more inflationary environment. So I will shift my portfolio as that happens, as we see that happen and we get more information that is happening, then we will shift into more stocks that benefit from inflation and things like that, and away from stocks that will get hurt by inflation. So there's ways to do this along the way too, and adjust along the way. It doesn't have to be extreme.
Yeah. So to that end, I think, because I don't know what the future looks like, going into 2021, and maybe we can start to wrap it up here, is like talking about where we're going to place our focus in 2021. For me, my largest allocation to a single asset is Bitcoin. And I'm going to continue, if we do continue into a bull cycle, I'm going to allocate even more capital for like dip buys and breakouts and like active trades to increase my fiat base that I can put back into other assets, right? So it's like, you don't have to just buy and hold. You can do both. You can buy and hold, and you can actively trade to increase your alpha, to have more capital to feed back in the system. It's just, another strategy of compounding, right? Trading is not for everybody. I get that. But I think also in the crypto space, there's a dangerous narrative that is trading is bad. And we've talked about this too. I'll just quickly say, like, everybody that owns crypto or Bitcoin or whatever is a trader. It's just the only difference is the time frame that you hold. It's the same skill stack. The shorter your time frame, the more room for error and the more likelihood you have of losing money. But even if you're a buy and hold investor, you are still actively trading. You're placing orders, you're thinking about entries and exits, and that stuff matters. So that's where my focus is going to be in 2021, maximizing opportunity in Bitcoin, and then being very patient and diligent in only trading altcoins that I think have a high likelihood of seeing a big cycle, like a multi-month bull market, right? Like we saw with Chainlink. I was like, I don't think this is just going to be a one-day pop and flop. I think we're going to get a couple months of 100 to 300% gains. That's where my sweet spot is. That's my focus. What are y'all focused on next year?
I'm going to be paying a lot of attention to high flyers, 2020 high flyers that I've maybe wanted to own, but they've just gone too far too fast. And I'm going to see if 2021 kind of puts them back in check after these earnings releases come out. And we see that growth has been pulled forward. What are these stocks doing, you know, going forward from there?
Are they going to live up to the expectation?
Are they going, yeah, like, is 2021, is the market environment we're seeing in 2020 gonna bleed into 2021? Or is 2021 going to be the great awakening of valuation?
And like disappointments and
like value investors finally, you know, can say, yes, see, valuation does matter after all.
Yeah.
And maybe we might see some things sell off enough to where, you know, we're finally like, okay, maybe there's something here for us.
So I know you guys have been taking a lot of profits off the table recently. Like, are you going to continue to do that? Or are you waiting on some of these, you know, high flyers like Square and some of the others? I know, you've actually already taken a lot of profit on Square, right?
I've taken some profit on Square, yeah, this year. And a number of other things. Upwork, I actually can't remember if I took profit on Upwork or not, but yeah, maybe I did. I don't know. It's all running together. It's been a lot.
But either way.
Yeah, we've been taking profits, you know, as things have been moving fast. But also another thing for next year, for 2021, for me, is going to be the recovery stocks, travel, you know, retail, like hospitality stocks. Like, that's going to be interesting to me to see how either underpriced or, you know, are they priced correctly? Like, you know, it's kind of hard to tell where the market could take some of these stocks if we do see a strong recovery like we expect to see.
Yeah.
So,
Trav, what about you, brother?
Yeah, I mean, I think last week you talked about it a little bit, but I'm going to be trying to mine for some areas that are a little bit more unexplored. So maybe outside of the everything that every single investor seems to be looking at now, which is like tech and recent IPOs. I think I want to spend some time looking at some more international stocks and some smaller cap stocks and see what opportunities might be out there that people aren't seeing because they're also focused on high growth tech stocks. Yeah. Definitely going to look for some opportunities to perhaps profit on the short side as well if we start to see some of those high growth names start to falter. I don't want to get too overextended on the short side. If we're in another frothy market like 1999, that thing can last a little longer than you expect. And a lot of short sellers got taken out in 99. Eventually, there was a lot of profit to be had in 2000 through 2002, but I don't know if we're there yet. So yeah, I'm just going to kind of be like patient and wait until the market starts to give us those short opportunities. And then when the market does start to roll over and give us a lot of short opportunities, that's where I'll be.
Hell yeah.
So we'll see.
Awesome. Well, I saw a couple of questions about the community and discount codes and stuff like that. We introduced this one a couple of weeks ago, and we've left it up. I know a lot of people have been kind of working their way into the community. So for anybody that's not part of our wealth building community, you can get half off of your first membership tuition. The promo code is just half off, all one word. Go to chrisdunn.com/community, and you can get that. And we'll probably leave that up through, I guess, end of this week. Yeah, and man, this is our last show of 2020. It's kind of
weird. I'm ready for a few weeks to chill, though. Ready
for a break?
It's been a busy year for me.
Yeah,
Tired.
been. Yeah, we always like to take like the last 2 weeks of the year to kind of relax and regroup and.
Yeah. I went
recover?
from basically studying for my CFP for a whole year, taking the tests, and then going straight into 2020, which was like crazy investing year.
Hell
Had
yeah.
to be on my game there. And then like starting a new business. So I'm like, yeah, I'm like ready to chill.
Yeah.
You earned it.
I can't believe dude, I haven't been on a plane in 11 months. That's never happened before. Like, I think I've traveled almost every single month for like the past 20 years, probably. Like,
Wow.
fucking crazy,
Yeah,
man.
you must be going crazy. Well, actually, I know.
Get me out of here.
You think you'll be on a plane by like, let's say, summer 2021?
I hope so. I'm like,
Yeah.
look, I'm taking the damn vaccine just because I want to get on a plane.
Yeah.
If Bill Gates puts a quantum computer in the vaccine and he controls my mind, okay, fine. I just want to travel. I just want to get out there and be able to like move around again. So I will be taking it, and I will be on planes.
Where are you gonna go?
I don't know. We'll
I mean,
figure.
where are we
throw
gonna
a dart
go?
at a map. Yeah, I mean, we've got our top lists, but definitely got to do a skill incubator event.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Stoked for a community event.
yeah,
Where do you want to do a skill incubator event? Put it in the chat. I'd
Yeah.
be curious to hear what people say.
Yeah. What
yeah. Where do you guys want to
area?
go?
Where's the
world.
place to have an event in 2021 when we can
Yeah.
have it? I definitely want to know from our viewers
Yeah.
where the hotspot's going to be.
Yeah, we did Cayman Islands, we did Amsterdam. I know some people were stoked on Vegas. Some people wanted to do Bali. We've got options. Maybe the Maldives.
Ooh.
Wonder how the internet's.
Maybe the
is
ski
there.
slopes.
Yeah, Nikki's dying to get on the
Get
slopes.
to the mountains.
See, BTC Kyle said ski resort. See,
Hey.
that's what's up. My guy.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I think we can go ahead and start wrapping it up there, guys. Wow, what a crazy year it's been. We launched the show this year, gotten
Yeah.
a lot of good feedback from you guys. Hopefully y'all are enjoying the show. I know we have a great time doing this for you. Finally got the studio all put together, and yeah, just looking forward to coming back in a couple of weeks and crushing it again. So yeah. Any final thoughts before we sign off of season 1?
Stay safe. You have a great excuse if you're procrastinating your Christmas shopping right now or your holiday shopping because the shipping is all delayed. USPS, UPS, FedEx, everything's delayed. So
Yeah.
now everyone has an excuse to be like, "Oh, sorry, Ma, that package didn't get there on time." Damn UPS!
Yeah.
It'll be there in January.
Trav, final words of wisdom?
Oh man, I'm trying like. Oh.
You're on the spot.
Yeah, it's tough on the spot. I'd say, for 2021, like, I'm gonna really try to make it a year of like a focus on like getting back to like being with people, focusing on my health again. Like kind of let some of that go. Like I think like there were a lot of ways to like kind of lose yourself in 2020. So 2021, I'm excited about like kind of returning to more of a normal life, so to speak, if there is such a thing.
Yeah.
Same.
But take care of each other. Like be good to your fellow humans. That's really the biggest thing that I
Yeah.
can say. Like as we go into 2021, which will be a very different year, hopefully, than 2020.
Yep.
Hopefully.
Hopefully not for profits though, because weirdly enough, this was a wildly profitable year. But
It really was.
I think it's my best year ever in terms of percentage and dollar profits.
Yep.
So I think it's a bit of an anomaly, but we're gonna give it our best effort in 2021 to make it an incredible year in stocks as well and in
Yep.
crypto.
I'll
Yeah.
add a final thought because we did have a great year this year with returns. Stay humble, always.
100%. Yep. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thanks for being here with us. Hope you enjoyed the show. Look forward to seeing you in 2021. Go to We Talk Money, submit a question for next year. Subscribe on podcasts, refer a friend, like it up if you got value from it, and we'll see you next time.
Happy
Take care, guys.
holidays.
Happy holidays.
See ya.